not only did she think the food wasn't very good, but she also didn't think she got enough. So she actually created a little blog where she showed the pictures of what she was eating, and she called her blog Never Seconds, because you can never go up and get seconds. And like any good budding foodie should, she had ratings that went with her photographs, right? So here's her little cheese pizza on the foodometer. This is a 6 out of 10. Health rating she thought was 4 out of 10. And of course the ever critical pieces of hair rating, which fortunately for this meal was 0. So Martha kept bringing her camera. She kept taking pictures of her school lunch. And, you know, here's her minced pasta, 8 out of 10, 5 out of 10, pieces of hair still in the clear. And for whatever reason, people started finding and following Martha's blogging, right? So at some point early in her blogging career, her dad told her that she had 42,000 hits on her blog, which is a lot, particularly for a 9-year-old. And she said, wow, that's kind of cool. I'm sure whatever the school version is of that. 8 out of 10, 6 out of 10. Unfortunately, her pieces of hair streak was broken. And a really interesting thing started to happen. Kids from other schools around the world started finding Martha and sharing with her their school lunches. So here's school lunch in Taiwan.
All right.
And here's school lunch in Canada. And here's school lunch in the Czech Republic. And right now, most of you are thinking, wow, look, they use real dishes. Right? So, Martha's getting increasingly popular, and another chef, a guy named Nick Nairn, there in Scotland, invites her to go on his cooking show, which is awesome, right? So Martha gets to go cook with Nick. And he also uses Martha's visit. He brings a couple other sort of guests on the show. And they spark sort of this national level conversation in Scotland about the quality and quantity of school lunches that they're giving their kids. Right? Kind of neat, right? So Martha's impact is growing here. Now what should have been a highlight for Martha actually turns out to be a low note, because the next day, their school council, what we would call a school board, was so upset about sort of the negative publicity that they think they're getting that they forbade Martha to bring her camera to school anymore and take pictures of her lunch. And of course she blogged about that, right? Like, I'm now forbidden to bring my camera in. And of course the internet being the internet, right? There's this immediate pushback. And the pressure was so great that the school council eventually relented and did what they should have done in the first place, which is instead of censoring Martha, that they started having a conversation and actually improved the school lunches that they were making available to their children. So here's one little 9-year-old who, through her blog, right, and through her digital camera, it makes an impact for other kids in her community and impact on the school system. Now things really start to take off for Martha now. She actually gets to meet Jamie Oliver in person. She gets to go on the BBC. She writes a book with the help of her parents. She's named Scotland's Public Campaigner of the Year Award, and she gets to meet Bean. Right? So all the good stuff is happening to Martha. And she also uses her public visibility and platform to raise $220,000 to create a food kitchen in Malawi to help the food insecure. That's one amazing 9-year-old, right? And the cool thing about the era that we now live in is that there's actually millions of Marthas out there. So there's Emma in New York City, who, not content with merely blogging since the age of 13, she decides in her later high school years that she's going to work with her friends to create a documentary project that discusses how teen girls' bedrooms are manifestations of their identity formation. Got that? There's Josh, a kid from Iowa, who I met his mom, and she said when Josh was in 8th grade, he started making Pokemon walkthrough videos. These are voice-narrated videos of him playing the video game, and then saying things like, well, if you go around this rock and you hack at the bush 3 times with your sword, you get the special key that allows you to, get in and defeat the boss in level 2, whatever, right? Things like that. And he was posting them to YouTube, and she said we thought it was just kind of stupid, but it was harmless, so we just let him keep doing it. Then he was a senior in high school, and he's still making these videos, and people were like, he's doing what? But it was harmless. And then we started realizing he's got 195,000 subscribers on his YouTube channel. He's had 113 million hits on his videos. And a company just approached us to pay Josh $8,000 a month to make videos for them as he heads into college. That's a bit of pizza and beer money. There's Tabby from Oak Park, Illinois, who at age 16 founds and is the editor-in-chief of a very highly acclaimed online style magazine called Rookie. There's Nick from Britain, who develops a news summary app when he's 15 and sells it to Yahoo at age 17 for $30 million. There's Kayla, who, as a 13-year-old, is a very accomplished writer already. She's spending her time in places like fanfiction.net, right, where she takes characters from books and movies and TV shows that she loves and she writes stories about them. And so far, she's gotten almost 5,000 reviews. She's written over 500,000 words. And, there's kids like Kayla everywhere. The same kids that we can't bribe to write in school are often going home and writing tens of thousands of words a month in places like fanfiction and Wattpad. There's Lauren, 7th grader in California, who just absolutely had to send her Hello Kitty doll up into space. There's Catherine from Michigan, who at age 12 decided to ignore the advice about contacting strangers on the internet and instead found the Pontiac Fiero community, who helped her rebuild her old rusted hulk of a car so that by the time she was 16, she has this tricked out ride ready to go. There's Matthew, age 11 from the United Kingdom, who was concerned that boys his age weren't reading enough, so he made his own book review blog to encourage other boys to read. There's Kelsey, age 9 from Waco, Texas, who's part of the very robust Rainbow Loom YouTube community. There's the Harry Potter Alliance, which has organized youth all around the world around a variety of social causes, such as buying books for libraries, fighting for immigrant rights, advocating for chocolate that doesn't depend on child labor from Africa, and so on. There's people like Kevin Kerwick, the football captain from Osseo, Minnesota, who creates a nice tweet account and shares all the nice things that are happening in the school across Twitter and inspires dozens of other schools across the country to do the same very organically. There's Sam, another kid from Iowa, who makes these amazing videos that just take your breath away, make you want to cry. There's Zev, 14-year-old from Massachusetts, who takes really interesting self-portraits. There's Cassandra, she's a middle schooler from Fremont, California. She apparently has some sewing talent. She likes to make these little creatures and then sell them. So she originally started with Etsy, right, to sell her crafts, but then realized that Etsy was taking too much of a cut. So being the budding businesswoman that she is, she then set up her own site and eliminated the slice that Etsy was taking. So she increased her profits. Then there's the kids from Todd County High School in South Dakota. ABC came and did a news special on their community called Children of the Plains. It was all about gangs and poverty and violence and drugs. They were so upset by how their school and their community and they were portrayed that they made a sort of a counter-protest video that talked about how they were more than that they were all about passion and humility and creativity and respect and family and love. And the video got probably more attention than the original news special did. It's this amazing video that they made. What I love about this is that, when they exercise their voice, they sort of reclaim the power that the adults try to take away from them. And we have countless other examples. If you went back to your school and started asking students, how are you using technology at home in interesting and powerful ways? You would have additional stories that you would learn about and could share, like I'm doing now. And I've tried that in schools all around the country, and the tales that we get are just amazing, what kids are doing at home with technology in very meaningful and robust ways. So I'm going to invite you, as we think about this concept of personalized learning, to talk with your discussion buddies for a few minutes about what adjectives might we use to describe the young people that I shared with you today. Are you seeing this with your own students and children? And is this what we mean by personalized learning? Have a fun chat.
I see you in a lot of these kids. We have a lot of
All right, let's come on back together. Here we go. So, what are some adjectives we might use to describe conjunction world? Throw some out. Creative. Intrinsically motivated.
Innovative.
Innovative. Interested. Is that all we got? What other words might we use?
Brave.
Brave. Self-directed. Right? Anything else? Imaginative, and so on. Right? So, lots of words that really describe empowered kids, right? Think about how many of the adjectives that you talked about, you would use those same words to apply to the learning that kids do on a day-to-day basis at school.
Curious.
Curious, right?
That's that one, right?
A lot of those words we would not use when we use to describe our kids' learning in school. We see some disconnects often, right? When you think about your kids in school, are they self-directed? Are they imaginative? Are they creative? Are they brave? Are they curious? Right? I mean, you start to see where I'm going with this, right? So that's one take on personalized learning. Let's do a second take, okay? And we're going to use a couple short videos to help us think about this. So here we go.
What do you picture when you hear the word school? Is it this? Each day, teachers work to instruct classrooms filled with students, each with their own interests, academic level, and way they learn. Imagine trying to teach a class of 30 students how to add fractions. By the end of the lesson, half the class might get it, half might not. So what should happen the next day? The teacher can reteach the lesson, leaving those who got it bored, restless, or disruptive. Or the teacher can teach a new lesson, letting the kids who didn't get it fall further and further behind, until they're discouraged or frustrated. We need alternative methods. We need to give students a more individualized curriculum and ensure that students get what they need, when they need it, how they need it. If we're serious about trying to meet the needs of every child, we need to view traditional teacher-led class instruction as just one way kids learn. There are other options. Students can also learn in small groups from each other, or with videos, games, or practice problems on their laptop, or with one-on-one instructors, or even by themselves with books, activities, or software. These are just a few ways students can receive instruction. We call them modalities. By joining different modalities into one learning environment, where students, teachers, and resources from multiple classrooms can be combined into one open space, we move from a model that looks like this to a model that looks more like this, where students get instruction at their own academic level in the format most likely to be successful for them. For example, this teacher is helping a group of triangles, while this student is working on algebra with his online tutor. This is just one model New Classrooms is developing to reimagine the classroom to meet the needs of every student. Here is how we deliver personalized instruction. First, we create a full map of skills students need to know and give a diagnostic test to figure out which skills each student knows and doesn't know. From that, an individual playlist of skills is created for each student, focused on their specific areas for instruction. The result is a unique learning plan, personalized for each student. To deliver these personalized learning plans, we use our extensive bank of thousands of lessons, which cover a variety of modalities, grade levels, skills, and topics. Now, what do we do with all the data we have collected about each lesson and student? Here's what we don't do. We don't hand it to teachers and ask them to figure out what to do tomorrow. Instead, we created an algorithm. The best way to explain it is to think about what happens when you go to the airport. There might be weather problems. Certain planes only fit at certain gates. And technology organizes all this information and simply tells us where to go, when. Based on a short assessment students take at the end of class each day, our algorithm is analyzing data about students, lessons, and resources to address individual needs and create a unique schedule for every student and teacher each day. This is the reimagining of school, instruction, and classrooms. This is a model that gives students what they need, how they need it, when they need it. This is New Classrooms.
What they need, how they need it, when they need it. So this is another take on personalized learning, right? You heard that phrase over and over again in the two videos. It's really this notion that using technology, we can adjust time, place, path, and pace of kids' learning. So, you can learn at any time that's convenient to you. You can learn at any place that's convenient to you. You don't have to necessarily be out of school at a certain time of the day. And it's really that path and pace part where the personalized advocacy really comes in. This idea that every kid can move as fast or slow as they need to, and can pick their own path through the material. Everybody doesn't have to do the same one-size-fits-all model, and so on, right? And we're doing that through adaptive learning software, like you saw in the videos, and we're also doing that through some combination or creative usage of online courses and other online components. And there's a variety of different blended learning models that are out there, right? So there's everything from station rotation, where a kid might spend, this is sort of like a centers approach within the classroom, right? Where a kid would be spending part of their day in software and online teacher-led instruction, right? Part of the day with more traditional modality with the teacher, and then maybe part of the day in collaborative activities and stations and so on, right? And how do we blend those three together in ways that work? There's a lab rotation model, which is very similar, but instead the kids are actually leaving the classroom and going somewhere else, like say a computer lab down the hall to do some work. So some of you may be familiar with the rocket ship model, right? So the lab will look something like that, right? There's a bunch of kids working at their own pace and their own path on the computers, while other kids are interacting with smaller groups of teachers and so on. Some of you are familiar with flipped classroom ideas, this idea that we're almost going to flip the way we do instruction. So basic knowledge transmission and introduction of new material is going to happen at home, and then we're going to come to class and work on deepening that, extending that, and so on. There's people like Mr. Hughes who are making these awesome history videos that kids can go watch at home, and then come to class and extend it deeper, and so on. We've got individual rotation models where kids are deciding where they spend their time, flex models, self-blend, enriched virtual, and so on. There's lots of different models on how to do all this. But I think the question for you all, or questions for you all, are this. When you think about these adaptive learning systems, these Newtons and Alexes and other sort of adaptive software where they push out basic information to kids in the form of text and videos and interactive diagrams and charts and whatever. And then they also do the assessment, right? They ask kids questions about that material, and the kids answer them. And depending on how they answer them, they either get to keep going and extending further, or they do remediation and intervention and so on, right? So this is what we call adaptive learning systems. They're adapting to each kid's unique path and pace. And then the blended learning models, where we're creatively using online courses and online modules to help sort of shake up the traditional school day as well. And we saw some of that in the new classroom videos. So what do you think about these adaptive learning systems and blended learning models? What are their benefits? What are their drawbacks? And are these personalized learning? Have a fun conversation. So I'd like to invite you to think in your own head for 20 seconds or so about what differences you see between the Martha and Friends personalized learning model and the adaptive learning system personalized learning model. Let's think about that for a minute. So I spend a lot of time working with schools, and we talk about sort of three big shifts that every school in the country needs to make. It's a shift from lower level learning to higher order thinking, what we might call deeper learning, right? How do we get away from the recall and regurgitation? And a heavy emphasis on that, to really focus on that critical thinking, creative problem solving, high-level communication collaboration skills that we know students need these days. We also talk a lot about student agency. How do we have kids own and direct more of their own learning rather than be passive recipients of the teaching process? We know that essential human need is one of autonomy and self-control, and that engagement and motivation increase as we give kids more autonomy in their own learning. So how do we focus on giving them greater agency? And then we also talk about the shift from analog to digital. How do we use technology in rich, robust ways to make those first two things happen? Personally, when I think about these adaptive learning systems, and I think about whether or not they foster deeper thinking, student agency, and tech-rich learning environments, I'm not certain that they succeed on any of those three dimensions, right? If you think about the way those systems work, there's a heavy emphasis on low-level knowledge because that's what the computer can transmit and then assess. So we're not really hitting the deeper thinking part. In terms of student agency, for all the talk about student path and pace, you're still marching through somebody else's decisions about what you should learn, right? And they're sticking you in some system that says this is how you should learn it. And yes, you have some choice within that system, but it's pretty tightly conscribed. You can pick Module 3A or Module 3B. You feel like you have high levels of agency right now? Probably not, right? And then finally, the technology is really only being used in very low-level, replicated ways to, instead of fostering deep, rich learning, we're basically using the technology to do that low-level knowledge work that we've always done. And so, to many school reformers and policymakers and leaders, this model is very seductive. Because this is a model that A, minimizes teachers, right? Because we can stick 60 kids in a computer lab and have a teacher's aide supervise them while they work self-paced. And guess what? We just save the teacher's salary and we can then do something else with it, right? So that may be a remedy for budget crunches or maybe some way of blowing up the system or whatever. And this model has been around a long time. Right? This idea of kids doing self-paced work. Back in earlier centuries, people used to dream about the ability to just import knowledge directly into kids' brains. You know, their buckets to be filled up or sent through the wires and go straight into their heads. The thinking machine, right? Look, some kids cranking the machine as the knowledge thing goes in. Cracks me up with the hand crank. Right? And again, notice that the technology, if it's used at all, is used primarily by the teacher and or it's used to do very low-level thinking work, where it's basically factual recall and procedural regurgitation. When I think about the kind of learning that Martha and crew are doing at home with their technology, that seems much more personal to me. It seems like it's coming from them, the person is tapping into their interests and their passions, really than saying, guess what, you get to pick the path and pace that you march through all of our low-level content, right? And so there are many of us that are trying to reclaim the word personalization from the commercial vendors and the adaptive software companies and the policymakers who are trying to steal it, who are trying to actually remove the personality from personalized learning and saying we don't really care what your interests and passions are. We don't care about what engages you and interests you. We don't care about things that might really light your fires, that you can be these self-directed, curious, engaged learners. What we care about is that we have all this low-level stuff we want you to know, and we're going to march you through the system. And yes, you can do it at your own individualized pace, and we're going to call that personalized. But there's not much of you, the person and personality, in that process. We've removed it and turned it into some technocratic solution instead. And so some of us are finding very hard to make a distinction between individualized learning and personalized learning. Right? So Braden-McLeod, for example, one time I presented, I broke my elbow. I actually fell off the stage. So that didn't happen today, that was good. Okay, so Braden-McLeod are helping us make the distinction between what's individualized learning and personalized learning, right? And in individualized learning, the teacher is still providing instruction to an individual learner, or the software is. Whereas in personalized learner, it's the learner herself who's actually driving her learning, right? In personalized learning, learning is connected with interests and talents and passions and aspirations. Whereas in individualized learning, it's just making adjustments in the software and the teaching modalities, right? In personalized learning, the learner is participating in the design of the learning. It includes their voice and choice of how and what they learn. They're the ones setting the goals, not the software or the school system, right? They figure out which technique to use and so on. Very clear distinctions between individualized and personalized. It's essentially a difference between who gets to make the choices and who's driving the process, right? So Seymour Papert used to talk about this idea that it's the child programming the computer or the computer programming the child. And the way we can think about this is to say, is personalized learning done to you or for you? Or do you get to personalize learning for yourself, like Martha and your friends? It's essentially the difference between, hey, here's a bunch of cookies, eat through them in whatever way you'd like, versus being the baker. So, very quickly, turn to your neighbor and talk for just a minute or so. Are your blended learning initiatives, your technology-infused instruction, your day-to-day classroom instruction, is it individualized or personalized? And what evidence do you have of that? Go.